Today, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, where I live when I'm not traveling. But I recently got back from a trip, and during that trip, I got to have an overnight adventure in Hong Kong. Emphasis on the adventure part. Things went just a little sideways, and I learned a lot from this trip. Let's talk about it. Hello, y'all. I'm Miss World, also known as Casey, and my goal is to show you how to travel around the world in style and on a budget. I've been hinting around in my Hong Kong videos that I had some moments while I was in the city. So I thought I'd wait to talk about them and about safety in Hong Kong while we get into everything I learned during my overnight adventure here. Number one, communicating is not as easy as I would have liked. Many people I heard and saw around the city were speaking English. None of the actual vendors I spoke to did. At the stores, at the restaurants, in the Ubers, there were language barriers. Oh, disclosure, I don't speak Cantonese. I should have mentioned that. So it was a problem. Specifically, it was a huge problem at 4 a.m. So Hong Kong is actually at the southern end of China, and a big part of the city is on the mainland at that southern tip of the country. But the rest of Hong Kong is spread out among small islands that are connected with bridges and tunnels. The airport, for instance, is on a whole separate island. I was on one of these islands at 4 a.m. when I needed a ladies' room. But I thought I was very smart, you see, because I had already discovered earlier in the night that there are McDonald's all over Hong Kong. They are everywhere. They're open 24 hours a day, and they have restrooms. Now, don't expect them to be clean. I went into a few McDonald's restrooms that night, and you need to leave your expectations outside, okay? This is like, I've seen nicer outhouses than this. I used a public toilet in a park in Greece that I would have preferred to a couple of these McDonald's, so there's that. But at 4 a.m. on this particular night, there was another factor at play, some sort of water crisis. I took 2 Ubers to 2 McDonald's specifically hunting for a public restroom and found out that there was this big problem with the water on the entire island. So the bathrooms were shut down. The level of panic I had in the moment when I realized this is something I don't ever want to relive. So things were just haywire at this point, and I'm running around trying to ask someone about a bathroom because there was no, oh, it's fine, I'll just wait. This needed to happen. Not to get too personal, and I'm sorry about this, but this is a reality of travel. Sometimes you need a bathroom, and maybe it's 4 a.m. and you're in a foreign city and there's a water crisis. So what do? What I did was get pointed out by a helpful stranger on the street to a public restroom. Apparently, Hong Kong has public restrooms in the city that are available for anyone. That's pretty nice, Hong Kong. The problem. This particular restroom was at the top of some stairs down a dark alley, and there were no people anywhere around it. I'm looking down the barrel of a dark passageway. I'm alone, and I know that I'm going up those stairs and into that bathroom anyway. So I called a friend. I got right on a video chat with someone I know, and that made me feel a lot better. But a phone is not a real defense. I could still have got snatched up even with my phone. So I also put a key in my hand. And I went and got a key just to show you how this is done. I carry a key with me when I travel. I know where it is and I can get to it at any time. Now, this key goes to nothing. It's just an old defunct key I don't use. But I carry it because it's a weapon that you can get past any security system anywhere in the world, including the airport. Holding a key like this between your fingers, and now you're ready to defend yourself. Pepper spray, clubs, tasers, the usual weapons that a person might carry for personal safety reasons, you're not getting those through the airport. A key is getting through. And I'm not saying it's a great weapon or anything. Obviously, we're just grasping at straws here, but it's something. It makes me feel safer, and if something does go down, at least I have the element of surprise on my side. Maybe it can buy me an extra minute or 2. I get that this is a grim thing to talk about, but this is the reality of traveling alone as a woman. We're not going to sugarcoat or brush past realities here. That said, this video gets a little scarier and I'm going to talk about some things, so if you need to skip this to avoid being triggered, I get it. My next videos are going to be much more fun, so please do subscribe to the channel and stick with me because I don't usually talk about safety and self-defense, and I'm not here to bum anyone out. But I am going to share my experiences because maybe that will help you. Nothing happened, by the way. The bathroom wasn't even all that dirty. I got my business handled and I went right on my way, so it was all fine. But after that, I did end up going back to the airport early because I was super tired and it was enough already with all the personal safety concerns, because that was the third sort of bad thing that happened while I was in Hong Kong. The first happened right near the start of my adventure around Victoria Harbor. I mentioned this in my last video, but a random guy started following me to the subway station. He got right up next to me and was talking to me and very well could have been perfectly harmless. But I'm a female solo traveler and I can't gamble my safety on it's probably going to be okay. So I got myself into an Uber and away from that guy, and I tried to stay safe the rest of the night. I didn't succeed. I also really wanted to do some shopping when I was in Hong Kong because I'm all about that, and because Hong Kong is famous for its shopping. So I had a whole list of places that should have been open, and every place I went to was not. One place was shut down for a construction issue, and one place I never was able to find because of what happened. So this was, I don't know, like maybe 2 a.m., sometime between 2 and 3. And I wanted to go to a place called the Cat Street Market, which is supposed to be open 24/7. And maybe it is. I have no idea because I couldn't find it. The Uber driver dropped me in the middle of the street and told me it was just up ahead. So I get out of the Uber and he drives away and I start looking around. And I realized that I was 100% alone in the dark on a very quiet street in an area that, no offense to Hong Kong, looked just a little rundown. There was this alley behind me with all this graffiti, and I truly think the market was at the end of that alley, but you can't prove it by me because there was no chance, none whatsoever, that I was going down that alley by myself. It was super dark and quiet, and I looked down that alley and I was immediately like, nope. So now I'm standing there alone. And I'm looking at my itinerary on my phone and my Google Maps and trying to figure out where I'm going next when this man appears out of the shadows. Now, there was nothing frightening about this man on the surface. He looked like a perfectly normal, everyday guy, just casually dressed, jeans and a shirt, as regular of a guy as you could want to see. And he came walking right up to me and asked me if I had seen a dog. And immediately, my mind went to Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was like a super good-looking guy who would do and say dumb things to try to get close to women, and then he would do quite horrible things to them that I'm not allowed to talk about on YouTube. He would fake injuries or ask for directions or whatever, and he was good-looking and he appeared harmless. So my mind is going insane at this point, okay? So I shake my head and mumble no, and I get on my phone and I start a live recording. So at least there will be some evidence. But he walked back off into the shadows. Now, maybe he did that because a car came down the street at that point, and maybe he was just doing that anyway. Maybe I was just in my head and it was all perfectly safe. But maybe it's not really something you want to stake your life on. And so what I learned from this experience is that you don't have to get out of the Uber, even if there's a language barrier. Take a look outside and take a look around and make sure you are where you want to be before you get out of the car. If you don't like the situation, tell the driver nah and choose a new destination. Just order a brand new ride or tack onto that one or do what you need to do, but you don't have to get out of the car. I shouldn't have gotten out of the car. But if you're in a situation like I was and you are uncomfortable, just order yourself an Uber or a cab or any ride share. I was able to get out of there in 1 minute after that man walked away. And he had started to come toward me again while I was standing there waiting. Yes, he said he was looking for a dog. And no, I don't have any real reason to think that he was not doing that. but I did see him a second time, and he was walking toward me, and then my Uber pulled up, and I jumped in, and that's what happened. I don't know what else could have happened. Now, for the record, I spent a lot of time walking around in Hong Kong that night all alone, and those were the only 2 instances where I felt unsafe at all. The entire rest of the time, I was having an absolutely great time. Nothing happened to me. I am perfectly fine. I didn't even so much as lose an item I was carrying. And I finally did get to do some shopping, but I didn't get to do it until I got to the airport. I went to a few places during my night in Hong Kong trying to get myself a Labubu. If you know, you know. The Claw Lab, which is open 24/7, was closed due to some sort of construction issue. They had like plastic and scaffolding up, and it looked severe. The flea market I couldn't find. The night market was closing. Every place I went, I could not do any shopping, and it was a huge disappointment. So I did not get to buy my Labubu until I got to Hong Kong International Airport. And it was too funny, y'all. It's like 4:30, 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning at Hong Kong International. And I went up to the Pop Mart vending machine to get a Labubu. There was a line. I had to wait behind what appeared to be a mother and daughter who were extremely, extremely excited to be there. Then when it was my turn, an Eastern European couple came up to wait in line behind me. And I couldn't help but laugh. One of the hottest spots in Hong Kong at night is the Pop Mart vending machine where you can buy Labubu, y'all. They are everywhere in Hong Kong. Labubu are these little monster toy things. This one is the one I bought. It's not special. It's just a standard one. But my understanding is that some people will pay like 6 figures for a rare one. They were invented in Hong Kong, and you're going to see them absolutely everywhere when you are here. People walk around with these things clipped to their bags, their jackets, their cell phones. The mother and daughter at the airport were like happier than any 2 people I have ever seen to be buying stuff from a vending machine at an airport. I've been to Stonehenge, and I barely found that level of joy. It's out of control with these things. But I did buy one, and that made me happy, and I only paid $12 for mine. And some of y'all can't hear this, but me just saying I only paid $12 for this caused like 27 teenage girls to have a screaming fit somewhere. Which means that my work here is done. And I'm done with my amazing, epic night in Hong Kong. It was fun, a little scary, and completely wonderful. I would go back again and again. Stay tuned to the channel because I've got a really big trip coming up that you are definitely going to want to see. Hang on tight because soon enough, we're going to be swinging over rice terraces, surfing in the ocean, and potentially fighting off wild acting monkeys. It's going to be super fun. So subscribe now so you won't miss any of it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for taking the journey with me. Now, Voyager, sail forth to seek and find.